I want to talk to you about Piaget's cognitive developmental theory. So I'm going to have Tweety Bird here be my cameraman. Tweety Bird, you can hold that real quick and then we'll get started. Thanks, buddy. All right, so Piaget's theory of cognitive development. It's a comprehensive theory about the nature and development of the human intelligence. It's primarily known as the developmental stage theory, but in fact it deals with the nature of knowledge itself and how humans come gradually to acquire it, to construct it, and to use it. So to Piaget, the cognitive development was a progressive reorganization of mental processes as a result of biological maturation and environmental experience. Keyword experience, environmental experience. So for children, they construct an understanding of the world around them, then experience discrepancies between what they already know and what they discover in their environment. You got that, Tweety Bird? Why is Dr. Piaget's theory so important? Why has it made such a big impact on education? Well, that's a good question to ask first before we get into what it is. Because, for example, one day my brother loaned me his son, which I don't have any kids, and so this was years ago, and they loaned me their son to babysit. And I'm like, man, it would be really cool if I could teach, his name was Jacob, how to ride a bicycle, and then he could show his dad, and I could be Uncle Matt. That'd be, they would remember that forever, and they'd be proud of me, and I'd get some major credit for that, I guess. So I take Jacob out in the grass first, of course, not on the street, to learn how to ride a bicycle, and I had the 3 wheels on the back, and just let him go, see if he could ride it on 3 wheels. And he's having difficult riding 3 wheels, and so I got behind him, I put my hand on the seat, and we went together riding the bike. I was pushing him, he was riding, he was pedaling. He was learning, how to keep it going straight and where to turn and where to go. Doing great. All right. Mastered it in seconds. I'm the best teacher ever. Mastered it. Took the wheels off the back, let him go. And as soon as he went, he immediately fell down. And he hit his head, and he bumped his head pretty hard. And that wasn't good. And he cried for a while. And there was a big bump. And I couldn't get the bump down. And my brother was coming back to my house within the half hour. And he had a gigantic bump on the side of his head. So I got the ice out. And he hated the ice because the ice was so cold. And I just came to the conclusion that I'm just in trouble. So my brother arrived, and my brother was like, man, why? Jacob was still crying by the time my brother got there. And my brother said, why is Jacob crying? I said, well, and I just got honest, I tried to teach him how to ride a bicycle. And my brother got pretty mad. Anyway, just took his kid and left. I didn't get very many points. And I later found out that it is not smart to train a 2-year-old how to ride a bicycle. Didn't know at the time, but it is not intelligent to train. He was very developed for his age, very smart, big kid, but it's not smart to train a 2-year-old how to ride a 2-wheel bicycle. And I say that story to embarrass myself, but also to tell you guys that the reason why Piaget's theory of cognitive development is so important is that you have to know how to teach to the right age level. You can't teach, if you're teaching sensorimotor basic skills to an adult, then they're going to kind of think that you don't know what you're doing, or you're too simple, or you're a fool. And you can't teach a 2-year-old how to ride a bicycle. So anyway, let's go ahead and look through Piaget's theory of cognitive development and how he laid it out. and just wrap our mind around the basics of it. Piaget's stage theory of cognitive development. Here we go. And I teach elementary school VE, so if this looks a little simple, it's because that's what I'm used to. All right, if you look up here, Piaget's cognitive development stages, broken down into 4 parts. Number 1, sensorimotor. That's from birth, 0 years old, to 2 years old. Looks as such. Number 2, the pre-operational stage, which is 2 to 7 years old. Number 3, concrete operational stage, 7 to 11 years old. Number 4, formal operational stages. That's from adolescence to childhood. And for the math majors, that's 12 years old all the way to our ages. Moving on. Again, just another way to look at it. 0 to 2, that's what a 0 to 2-year-old looks like. Not one to take out to learn how to ride a bicycle. Number 2, the pre-operational stage, this young boy. The concrete operational stage, this young man. And again, the formal operational stage, this nice grown graduate. So in order to not bore you as I read to you some of the definitions of these stages, I've had some local artists put together some interpretive art on these particular stages. So let's start with sensorimotor stage. The sensorimotor stage, 0 to 2 years old. The sensorimotor stage is the first of 4 stages in cognitive development, which extends from birth to the acquisition of language. In this stage, infants construct an understanding of the world by coordinating experiences, such as seeing and hearing, the physical actions. Infants gain knowledge of the world from the physical actions they perform on it. An infant progresses from reflective, instinctual action at birth to the beginning of symbolic thought toward the end of that stage. Piaget divided the sensorimotor stage into 6 sub-stages. From birth until the age of 2, infants only have senses: vision, hearing, motor skills, which is movement, touching things, moving things, such as grasping, sucking, and stepping. The first stage is called the sensorimotor stage, birth about the age 2. In this stage, the knowledge of the world is limited but developing. The first stage, the sensorimotor stage, is the stage that knowledge of the world is limited but developing because it's based on physical interactions and experiences. The child learns that he is separate from his environment and that the aspects of his environment continue to exist even though they may be outside of the reach of his senses. Behaviors are limited to simple motor responses caused by sensory stimuli. In this stage, according to Piaget, the development of object permanence is one of the most important accomplishments at the sensorimotor stage. Object permanence is a child's understanding that objects continue to exist even though they cannot be seen or heard. Now, this development in the sensorimotor stage obviously comes from sleeping on a bed. So here we have eyes, mouth, ears. Got to have them arms there to move things around. And then we move on to a very large center area in the shape of a blanket because you must lay down on the bed. The second stage, pre-operational. It starts when the child begins to learn to speak at age 2, and lasts up until the age of 7. During the pre-operational stage of cognitive development, Piaget noted that children do not yet understand concrete logic, cannot mentally manipulate information, or ride a bicycle. I'll just do that in there. Children's increase in playing and pretending takes place in this stage.